I mean, as you guys saw in the first game, I mean, not a lot different because they're still, the formula is still there for them. And it starts with Pat, and it starts with that offensive line to me. When they built that offensive line the way they did, I think they give their quarterback an even better chance to be the best version of himself. And then what they do is they have 8 to 10 players that they can get the ball to now. And I think that makes you even more difficult to defend. And because you have to be aware of everybody. And sometimes when there's a spotlight on an individual player, you can put a roof over that guy. And I just think that they're a complete offensive football team. And since Andy's been coaching, that's how it's always been. And we have full respect for their team. And, I think that they certainly earned it, and they showed in the first game why they should have everyone's full respect.
In addition, Chris, to getting the ball to the various receivers, the fact that the running game had over 120 yards from 3 different tailbacks. Isaiah Pacheco had 62 rushing yards on 12 carries and a touchdown. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 42
good.
rushing yards, and he had 32 receiving yards and a pair of touchdowns in the passing game. Jerick McKinnon, 22 rushing yards. So they are taking full advantage and making full use of their weapons, and it doesn't entail any pressure at all on the team or on Mahomes to get the ball to a certain guy. Everybody seems to be perfectly happy with whatever role they have. And I think what Mahomes said last week about, hey, sorry, fantasy football players, 1 week it's going to be this guy, 1 week it's going to be that guy. I think he had a bunch of guys who are content to wait their turn, and they know their week is going to come. There's going to be a game where the matchups and the game plan and the way the game develops favors them getting more opportunities than they would. So they're always ready for that moment to just kind of fall out of the sky.
100%. The one thing they know, Mike, to your point, is that they're going to be drop back. They're going to drop back and throw the ball, and it's going to be about 40 times every game. And they know right now with the way the offense is, and none of them are that superstar. Got to get the ball to this guy other than Travis Kelce, and he's the underneath guy more times than not. That they know that they're going to have their times. They're going to get a few opportunities in every game, and then there's going to be that game every now and then where it's like, whoa, I got 7 or 8 catches in this football game. Smith-Schuster was that guy last week to a degree. Early on, he was catching the ball. Kelce's always the guy that is the hardest matchup because they send the speed of McCole Hardman and Valdez-Scantling and Smith-Schuster down the field, and they're running all these crazy routes, and they clear the coverage out, and then that leaves Kelce underneath one-on-one against a linebacker who's lesser than him in pass coverage. So that's where they're beautiful that way. And Mike, to like you're saying again, I know we've talked about this a lot over the last month, but there is something to where, as much as Brandon Staley probably was like, man, Tyreek Hill defending him, it's a pain in the butt. I bet you still there's a part of him that goes, yeah, but when they had Tyreek Hill, I could pin them to things. I've had these conversations with coaches before, where, hey, sometimes the defensive coordinator likes when that team has that guy because they just go, wait, I kind of know what he's going to do when they have that guy. Now we don't, and that was the point I was trying to make, kind of throughout the offseason a little bit. I know it stinks to not have Tyreek Hill. He's awesome, but I do think it, to your point, opens up the offense, doesn't put the pressure on Mahomes. They can go, wait, one play we'll put Valdez-Scantling in the Tyreek spot from last year, and then the next play he'll be out wide, and he'll go, oh, wait, they're going to go to the Tyreek play where Valdez-Scantling's outside. Oh, no, wait, McCole Hardman's inside here now and doing the Tyreek Hill thing. So that's my point there, to where it might make it hard on certain situations for Brandon Staley and company to make a defensive call on 3rd and 6 and go, wait, I want to double somebody here. But it's like, wait, who do I double? What guy is it that they're going to feed here, or what play is it going to be? So I do think there's some advantages of that whole situation as far as the Chiefs are concerned, and especially it being early in the year without any tells quite yet, or enough info by these coaches to know exactly what a team does, like you always talk about, week 4, week 5, when there starts to become a dictionary of like, oh, okay, wait, we got some patterns here. We can tell that. That's not available tonight, and especially in a short week, that makes it hard. So that's where it's going to be fun too. But I will say this too, Mike. I would think this is a game that They knew it was coming all year. And I would think there's going to be some tricks in the bag here to where, like, they're going to do some things that they didn't do last week, but they pre-planned it, throughout training camp and stuff to, like, let's put this in and work on it a little bit for the Kansas City game in week 2. Let's put this defense in. And I think you could see some curveballs like that on both sides of the ball for both of these teams tonight.
Well, and here's one of the questions as well. Last year, the theme early in the season was don't blitz Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
He was facing an extra rusher only 12.6% of the time. That was the lowest of any quarterback in the NFL.
Right.
Against the Cardinals, and this comes from the Next Gen Stats account owned and operated by the NFL, he was blitzed 54% of the time on his dropbacks. That was the first time in his career he faced blitzes more than half the time, and he threw 4 touchdown passes against the blitz. So when you've got Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa,
yes,
it's kind of like what we saw last Thursday night from the Bills against the Rams. Maybe you can get by without sending extra guys. You know those extra guys aren't going to get home before Mahomes finds the guy who's open, thanks to the imbalance in the devotion of resources to the rush versus coverage. So let's just go with 4, drop 7, and hope that Khalil Mack or Joey Bosa can get home before Mahomes can get rid of the ball.
Yeah, I think precisely. I do. That's the teams we've seen that have given him trouble, right? It's the teams that, 3rd and 7, rush 3, but can be a pain in the butt, have a guy, playing some crazy coverages and a guy in the middle of the field kind of lurking in case Mahomes breaks the pocket or run. And then that goes back to the point I was saying earlier. They're built for this game. They're built for this matchup. They're trying to dethrone the king of the AFC, let alone the AFC West. And that's where it is cool to see. And with that, I think the other thing that, as it goes to the Cardinals game last week, hey, a few of those touchdown passes were on the 1 or 2 yard line, right? So Arizona was playing goal line defense and trying to stop a lot of things and force the hand of the Chiefs there and stuck in a tough situation. But, I don't expect to see blitzes from the Chargers tonight, not like last week. Again, the Arizona football team, early on, they were down. They blinked their eye, and it was 14-0. Kyler Murray had been on the field for 3 plays, and then when he got on the field for play number 4, he was down 14-0. That's crazy. So that forced the Cardinals to start to, we got to make a play. They're slowly picking us apart, let alone, I think back to the point you're making, the Cardinals, they don't have a pass rusher. They have nobody in their front 7 that you go, these 3 or 4, if we just rush them, they'll get home on Patrick Mahomes. There's nobody. There's nobody to speak of in that manner. And then J.J. Watt wasn't even playing. So I think Vance Joseph, defensive coordinator of the Cardinals, was stuck in a little bit of a spot to go like, I don't want to blitz him, but if I don't, we're not good enough. He'll sit there all day, bake a cake, bake some donuts, and then throw a 70-yard pass. And Brandon Staley hopefully will not have the luxury, he'll have the luxury of not having to do that tonight, let alone he's got some athletic defensive tackles in the middle too. That's why I'm excited to see that Chiefs O-line versus Chargers D-line. That's kind of a clash of the Titans right there. That's going to be fun to watch.
And that's going to be the key. Now, remember, in Super Bowl 55, it was that formula. Go after Mahomes with the Tampa Bay front 4.
That's right.
And not – but he was injured then.
Yeah.
He was not able to run away from the pressure the way that maybe he can run away from it tonight.
49ers did it too, and they had him down 10 in the fourth quarter, right? They're the same way. It was Nick Bosa and Dee Ford and, that company there, Eric Armstead and DeForest Buckner, right? And the whole crew was there to where they could do the same thing too. We've seen that's given them problems. There's no question. And then I think when you add on a Sebastian Joseph Day, who they got, in the offseason from the Los Angeles Rams, and Brandon Staley knows what he's all about, they got some people in the middle of their defense that can be a pain in the butt. And that's that'll be cool to see because like Brandon Staley said, I think this Chiefs O-line is pretty damn special and pass protecting. It's the red wall right now. And, of course, with that and Mahomes' movement makes it very hard to stop them.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.